In the 1600s, a single tulip was worth more than a house. Sounds crazy, right? In this video, we're uncovering the strange economics of tulip mania and how flowers briefly ruled the market. Today, we're going to dive deep into one of the strangest chapters in economic history, tulip mania. We'll explore how a simple flower led to a financial frenzy, what drove people to pour their life savings into tulip bulbs, and the devastating crash that followed. Make sure to watch until the end because I've got an unexpected twist for you that could change the way you think about tulip mania. The Dutch Golden Age. Let's start with the backdrop. The Netherlands in the 1600s was at the peak of its golden age. The country was flourishing. Trade, science, and the arts were booming, and Amsterdam had become a major financial hub. Wealth was growing rapidly, and with it came a rising middle class eager to show off their newfound prosperity. Now, tulips were first introduced to the Netherlands from the Ottoman Empire in the late 1500s, and by the early 1600s, they had become a luxury item. Their vibrant colors and ability to produce unique patterns made them a status symbol for the rich. The tulip craze begins so. How did tulips go from being a luxury item to a full-blown economic bubble? It started innocently enough. Tulips were rare and exotic, and their unique colors made them highly sought after. Wealthy Dutch citizens began planting gardens filled with tulips to display their social status. But it didn't take long for this demand to spiral out of control. Tulip bulbs became a hot commodity, and soon, people began trading them like stocks. Prices started to rise quickly, especially for the rarest varieties. A single tulip bulb, particularly the coveted Semper Augustus, could be worth the equivalent of an entire year's salary for a skilled craftsman. It became a kind of frenzy. Everyone wanted a piece of the action. The peak of tulip mania. By the mid-1630s, the market for tulips reached its peak. People weren't just buying tulips because they loved the flowers, they were buying them as speculative investments. And that's when things got really crazy. Tulip bulbs were sold and resold several times over before they even bloomed. Speculators entered the market, flipping bulbs for higher and higher prices. At one point, a single tulip bulb was worth more than some of the finest houses in Amsterdam. People were selling their homes, farms, and even taking out loans to invest in tulip bulbs. The fever pitch reached such a height that entire futures contracts were created based on the price of tulips that hadn't even grown yet. But this frenzy was built on shaky ground. How long could this bubble really last? The collapse. A market crashes, and then, in 1637, it all came crashing down. Seemingly overnight, the bubble burst. It started with a single failed auction where no one was willing to meet the absurdly high prices for tulip bulbs. Panic set in as people realized the prices had been inflated far beyond the actual value of the flowers. As panic spread, the market quickly collapsed. People who had spent their entire fortunes on tulip bulbs were left with nothing but flowers that no longer held any value. The sudden crash wiped out the savings of countless investors, and many were left bankrupt. Houses were lost, businesses failed, and the Dutch economy took a significant hit. But how did such a rapid collapse happen? And why did people not see it coming? The psychology of the bubble. Greed and speculation. So, what made people believe that tulips were worth so much? The answer lies in the psychology of bubbles, something that still affects markets today. Tulip mania is a classic example of what economists call a speculative bubble. It happens when asset prices get driven up far beyond their intrinsic value because of irrational behavior. Essentially, everyone believes that prices will keep rising forever, so they keep buying, hoping to sell at an even higher price. Greed, fear of missing out, and the belief that this time it's different are all key ingredients in a bubble. During tulip mania, people weren't buying tulips because they valued the flowers themselves, they were buying them because they believed someone else would pay more. But did tulip mania really have the devastating impact on the Dutch economy that we've been led to believe? The aftermath and historical reinterpretation. After the collapse, the Dutch government tried to step in and stabilize the market, but it was too late. However, here's where the story takes a surprising turn. For centuries, tulip mania was held up as a cautionary tale of greed and irrational markets. But recent research suggests that it may not have been as catastrophic as we thought. Some historians argue that while Tulip Mania was certainly a bubble, its impact on the overall Dutch economy may have been overstated. The number of people involved in the frenzy might have been smaller than we've been led to believe, and the long-term damage to the Dutch economy may have been minimal. So, while Tulip Mania remains a powerful symbol of speculative bubbles, the truth may be more nuanced. Here's the big takeaway. Even though Tulip Mania may not have been as devastating as we once thought, it still offers valuable lessons. Whether it's the dot-com bubble, the housing crash, or even cryptocurrency, history shows us that speculative bubbles come and go, but the patterns of greed and irrational behavior often remain the same. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Tulip Mania, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating stories from history and economics. Let me know in the comments what other financial bubbles or historic events you'd like me to cover. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.